Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
Jaya Ro, an amazing person, founder of Vedanta Vision, spiritual speaker and author. A quick introduction of Jaya Madam. Jaya is one of the most powerful speakers on Vedanta, Indian philosophy. She is well loved and popular as an inspiring spiritual leader. Her expositions on Vedanta touch the mind and uplift the intellect. Blessed with a global vision and unparalleled knowledge for the scriptures, Jaya Rao has an amazing ability to reach out to individuals of all nationalities, sects, and faiths, backed up by her experience in the corporate life and 40 years of research on Vedanta. She motivates her audiences to live successful, happy lives with clarity, wit, and zeal. These are the hallmarks of her presentation. Her seminars for corporate executives deal with development of the human being. She helps create the most valued of corporate assets, the fulfilled, dynamic human being. We are so eagerly waiting for Jaya Rao. Ma'am, your topic for today is Vedanta, the Indian philosophy. Could you kindly turn on the video, and ma'am, you can go ahead now.
Thank you. Namaskar. Just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Just need to.
Yes. I'll just spotlight you.
Yeah. Thank you. Vedanta is the most ancient source of knowledge known to humanity. Because it comes from the Vedas. The Upanishads, which are the philosophy, appear in the last section of each of the four Vedas. So the knowledge was called the Anta, end of the Vedas, Vedanta. But it also means the highest knowledge known to humanity, a knowledge that is absolutely essential to the human being. It is like salt to food. You may have the most exquisite cuisine from the world over, but if the food lacks salt, it becomes tasteless. Besides, sodium is an extremely important element in our system, and if sodium levels go down, it spells death. So is it with the knowledge of Vedanta. How much knowledge do you need? Just a little. Shankaracharya said, Bhagavad Gita kinchidadhita. Study the Bhagavad Gita just a little. The Bhagavad Gita is the epitome of Vedanta, which is an explanation of all the Upanishads. And while the Upanishads talk to highly evolved students, well-qualified students on the verge of realization, the Bhagavad Gita addresses the common person. And therefore, its immense value in the world today. Vedanta is a science of living. It addresses all human beings at all periods of time, all over the world. There are no qualifications to the study of Vedanta. Every single human being has access to this knowledge, can very efficiently use the knowledge, integrate the knowledge into his or her system, and live the principles of Vedanta. Vedanta helps us transform from an ordinary, small-minded, bound person to an extraordinary, free, unlimited, extraordinary person. So, this is like the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. What is the life of a caterpillar? It lives in the dark, nibbling on a leaf all its life. But a caterpillar is born not to die as a caterpillar. A caterpillar is born to transform into the butterfly and take off on its wings. rove from flower to flower, sipping sweet honey and basking in the sunlight. Similarly, friends, you and I are born limited individuals, yes. We are bound, affected by the world, but we are designed to transform into unlimited, free individuals who are not affected by whatever happens in the world. And these are the rare enlightened souls. Why is it that we find it difficult to take to the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta or anything higher? Because in life, that which gives instant pleasure gives us sorrow in the end. And that which is really good for us gives immediate pain. Not knowing this, all human beings across the world opt for instant pleasure and sign up for a life of sorrow and suffering in the end. Vedanta cries out with this message that for a few seconds of pleasure, don't give up a lifetime of happiness. Let's take a look at the basic principles of Vedanta that help every human being. Number one, as human beings, we are gifted with two wonderful abilities that are denied to all other creatures. And that is, number one, choice of action. No dog, peacock, or elephant has this luxury of choosing, which we have. From infancy, we exert this choice powerfully. And in order to make the right choices, we are also gifted with a fantastic instrument called the intellect or buddhi. It is the intellect with which we have conquered the world, gone into outer space. Science and technology have come from this intellect. But out of the intellect also comes enlightenment, inner research and development, inner enrichment. In the past, in ancient India, we had this concept of Raja Rishis, where the focus was on inner enrichment with the principles of Vedanta. And a byproduct of this was immense success and prosperity and unpolluted happiness. A happiness which is not followed by sorrow. So, Vedanta helps you to not just get to enlightenment, but it bestows prosperity on you and it gives you happiness in the world. So it's a win-win situation all the way. Whereas if you don't apply the principles of Vedanta, you don't even get success. And happiness and enlightenment is a far cry. So what is happening now is that we are making choices with a poorly developed intellect because no one in the world knows the importance of the intellect and doesn't know how to develop the intellect. And therefore, no schools, no universities, no organizations anywhere in the world are focusing on the intellect. By intellect, we don't mean knowledge. We don't mean gathering data that any computer can do. We mean the ability to discriminate between right and wrong, between what is in your interest and what is not in your interest. The ability to control the vagaries of the mind and the demands of the senses. This is a completely different avenue of development. The intellect is developed pretty much the same way as the body is developed, by exercising it, thinking, inquiring, questioning. Thinking has become a rare commodity these days. because we just follow herd instinct. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because everybody else is doing it. And in the end, why are you suffering? Because everyone else suffers. The ability to think independently for yourself without getting influenced by others is the strength of the intellect. As you develop the strength of the intellect, you are able to control the demands of the senses and the vagaries of the mind. By control, we don't mean denial. There are two categories of people in the world. The vast majority go out and indulge in the world and lose the enjoyment. A small minority, in the name of religion, withdraw from the world, deny themselves the good things of the world, and get frustrated. So the intellect does not make you frustrated. The intellect enhances your enjoyment. Make sure that you enjoy the world 100% till the last day of your life. The next is Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita, prescribes 3 pathways to enlightenment. And these 3 pathways are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. What are these 3? Putting it simply, when we can act with the attitude of grabbing, taking, wanting for oneself, or with a deep sense of awareness of all that we have already received, a feeling of indebtedness to all those who have contributed to your well-being, and therefore an almost irresistible urge to give, to serve, to sacrifice, to share your good fortune with others. When you act with the attitude of giving, the rewards are enormous. Number 1, you become successful. The law is give, you gain, grab, you lose. Number 2, you become happy. All givers are happy. The moment you think of taking, you become wretched and unhappy. And the attitude of giving helps reduce your baggage of desires, and you move towards that state of uparati, where you are withdrawn from the world and fit for meditation. Jnana Yoga is not just mastering the scriptures, it is developing that sense of what is permanent and what is impermanent. So you begin to x-ray through the impermanent aspects of life and focus on the permanent, which is the spirit, Atman, the God principle within you. Just as an actor never forgets his identity in and through the various roles that he plays, a driver on the road never takes his eyes off the road while he's talking to a co-passenger, adjusting the air conditioning, or whatever else he may be doing. And a classical musician never takes his focus off the sa. That is why every classical musician has the tanpura playing that one note sa in the background. If he is not attuned to that note, he can't sing. Similarly, friends, you can go through the various perceptions and actions of the body, the feelings and emotions of the mind, the thoughts and ideologies of the intellect, while your focus is on Atman. Then you enjoy life thoroughly. You are a successful person because you have clarity of thinking, and you have immense love for everybody because you see everyone as nothing but reflections of yourself. That brings us to bhakti. Bhakti is not swearing love to a God that is unknown. Bhakti is not creating a murti yourself, placing it in a temple and saying God is here. Bhakti is worshipping the murtis that God has created, that you see, you can relate to, you can connect to. And that is love for all human beings. The 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita enumerates 35 qualities of a bhakta. In none of them does he say a bhakta is one who loves me or loves God. Krishna simply says, a bhakta is one who hates no being. So if you say, I love all beings except my mother-in-law, you are not a bhakta, you're disqualified. If there's even one creature that you hate, you're not a bhakta. This is the test of devotion. So how do you cultivate bhakti? By developing a deep sense of gratitude towards that entity you don't know who has given you, but you know that there is abundance that has been bestowed on you. You have been given millions and trillions of blessings and endowments. You are deeply grateful for it, and that is bhakti. And as we saw, Jnana Yoga is focusing on the permanent, understanding that the world and all that it has to offer is impermanent, and losing the value for it. We have a black market value for all that the world has to offer. And then you withdraw from the world. Your mind becomes meditative by nature. Even when you're interacting with the world, your focus is on Atman. You're fit for meditation. Even then, the mind, which is chanchala and asthira, constantly flitting from place to place and oscillating in one place, needs to be controlled by the intellect. On that one thought, meditation is defined as the mind focusing on one thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts under the supervision of the intellect. When you're deep in meditation, you stop the chant. When the chant is stopped, the thought flow goes away. The mind is nothing but thought flow. The mind gets extinct. The intellect, which was discriminating between sound and silence, the thought and silence, now gets transfixed in that silence. The intellect goes. When the mind and intellect go, what remains is Atman. The individual merges with the totality. You lose your individuality, but you gain the totality. It is like a wave, understanding that it is not the wave, the individual, but it is the vast ocean that runs through the whole world. And that is a momentous experience. In fact, it goes beyond experience. This, friends, is your birthright. We are born mortal, but not meant to die mortal. We are born mortal to transform into that extraordinary immortal. We are born ordinary Atmas to transform into extraordinary Mahatmas. And if we go back today with that thought that maybe someday I can reach that exalted state of enlightenment where you are just awake. When Buddha was asked, who are you, by someone, he just said, I am Buddha, means I am awake. That's how he got the name Buddha. So it means we are all in deep slumber. We are in ignorance. We are ignorant of who we are. We are ignorant of our power and potential. And we are fooling around with ordinary, trivial things of life. It's like a billionaire's son playing with marbles and toys, oblivious to the fact that it is billions that he owns. So we are not millionaires, we are not billionaires, we are infinitaires. And until we get to that state of infinity, don't rest content. is the message of the Upanishadic gurus, enlightened souls who did not even leave their names behind. An Upanishad is known by the first word of the Upanishad. There was complete dissolution of ego and complete union with the totality. And this is something we must all aspire for, strive for, and reach. As the Kathopanishad said, stop not till you reach that goal. Thank you. Namaskar.
So much, Jaya ma'am. It's like now there is light. You brought in so much of light into all our beings, spoken about gratitude and this power of Vedanta, the way of living. Thank you so much for adding so much of wisdom. We've really received a lot of pearls of wisdom today from you. Thank you so much. I'm sure all our friends all over the world will agree to this, because the direction and how the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedanta is actually a basic building blocks of life. And this is what makes us live the life that a human being is meant to live. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for your time. A small token of our appreciation, ma'am, for you, for your valuable time with us.
Thank you.
And this is our gratitude on the digital platform for you. The World United Presence, World Parliament on Spirituality 3, a certificate of appreciation to Jaya Ro for being an esteemed presenter in the third edition of the World Parliament on Spirituality 2020. Thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for your valuable insights. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.